Today is Early Ed Day at the Capitol, and we are here to show our support for increased investment in early care and education.
I have a 3-year-old named Zayden. He started in August here at Berry Cherry Tree. He went from barely speaking to having a full vocabulary, basically. He's very social, and he loves coming here. He's learned a lot, and it's more than I could ask. I mean, I love this daycare and all the experiences he's getting. It's awesome. He's becoming very social. Before he was just, at home by himself. He has older siblings, but not in his age range. And having an early education, it's taught him a lot, and when it's preparing him for kindergarten. I'm a single mother, and I make a little over $1,000 a month working for the school board, and $700 of it comes here to the daycare. I feel it's important that Zayden gets his education and continues to come to Berry Cherry Tree. I've been on the waiting list since October 2018, and once I'm off the waiting list, that extra money that I'll have would be able to benefit me for paying other bills and having a little extra income to do something with the children, because all my money right now basically goes to daycare. My recommendation to other parents would be to enroll their child in an early start or daycare, something that teaches their children social skills and all the things necessary to prepare them for kindergarten, to give them the head start that they need. That it's really important.
We are asking for a total of $40 million. We've already gotten some of that, so now we're looking for $31 million additional dollars for specifically at this point for the Child Care Assistance Program.
And what would that mean?
That would mean 5,500 parents who are on a wait list will be able to access quality, affordable, reliable child care for their children.
My name is Todd Murphy, and I'm the president of the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce and one of the dozens of members of the Ready Louisiana Coalition, and happy to be serving as the Master of Ceremonies for our program today. I want to first thank everyone for coming. This Early Childhood Day is about assuring that every child can get the resources that he or she needs to be prepared to go into school and knowing those ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and reading on level when it's time to read on level. And it's also about giving the parents an opportunity to continue their careers and their training.
My name is Bill Hammack. I am with the Link Restaurant Group in New Orleans, and I am also a member of Ready Louisiana, obviously. As you know, that's the bipartisan statewide coalition of businesses, advocates, early care and education professionals, as well as parents and citizens, and we're all seeking the same thing, and that is to ensure our state makes sufficient investment in quality, affordable early care and education. That's what today is all about. Today is a special day, Early Ed Day here in the state capitol. You'll be hearing during the course of the day from various organizations and from officials around the state, all making the case of the importance of making substantial investment in quality early child care and education, also demonstrating how this investment creates a powerful return on investment. This is not just an issue about child care. It is a workforce development issue. It is a criminal justice issue. It is an education issue, and it is an issue that can impact the future of our state in ways that no other issue we're dealing with today can, because it touches so many different things. By investing in early ed and education, we ensure that every child has access to high-quality education programs, preparing them for success in school and later in life. At the same time, the investment allows working parents to be able to work and the ability to remain in the workforce. It's so important. I have a great honor today to be able to introduce our governor, John Bel Edwards. And before I do that, I want to say hello to you, Donna. Thank you so much for being here today. Our First Lady. I think everybody in this room knows the commitment that the two of you have to education and to the children in our state. It's been well demonstrated. And Governor, thank you on behalf of the coalition for sustaining the funding in the current budget for state pre-K programs so that the slots that were lost to the federal funding will be able to be funded and that program will remain. Obviously, we need to keep working on more money. There's a critical need. We've got 5,000 kids on a wait list, and we're only going to be able to fund 500 of those slots for the Child Care Assistance Program. We need to do better than that, and we need to keep working on that. And we know that you'll support that effort. We look forward to continue to working with you. So join me, please, in welcoming my friend and our Governor, John Bel Edwards.
Thank all of you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today at the state capitol, Early Childhood Education Day. But more than thanking you for just being here, thank you for your advocacy for what you do all the time. It is encouraging, like Bill was saying, to see so many people here promoting what we know to be a smart initiative and to strengthen that initiative around early childhood education. We know that children who have access to early childhood education have a leg up. And what we know about that is that the more kids who start school ready to learn, the better off we're all going to be. We don't do a very good job in Louisiana, quite frankly, of catching kids up. But the truth of the matter is no state does a very good job of catching kids up. But we have more than our fair share of kids who need to be caught up, and that's where we fall behind. And so I think that if we want to have better outcomes for our children, and if we want to make sure that performance gaps are erased, and especially as they relate to income levels and that sort of thing, then early childhood gives us an opportunity to do that. And the benefits have been proven, I think, over and over again. The children get assistance in learning and development, promotes social skills, and also improves behavior. And this is not babysitting, but the parents then get an opportunity to continue their education or to work as well, because we know that at the high cost of childcare, for some people, their jobs just aren't worth it. Especially if they're working for $7.25 an hour, but that's another subject that I'd like to talk to y'all about one day. Or especially if we're not paying those mothers what we ought to be paying them relative to what we're paying men who do the same job with the same qualifications. Again, that's another story for another day. While we never stop learning, our children's early years are some of the most crucial for setting them on track for excellence. And, you know, I see studies, and they're not all in agreement on the exact range here, but they're in agreement enough to know that it's true. So of all the brain development that someone is going to experience over the course of their life, whether they live to be 100 years old, somewhere around 80 to 90% of that's going to happen before we're 5. So whether it's 80% or 90%, it doesn't really matter, right? We got to do what we can on the front end. That is why we created the Early Childhood Care and Education Commission, and I want to thank all of those commissioners who worked so hard. One of those happens to be my wife, Donna, so Donna, thank you for being on that commission to try to figure out what our vision for child care should be, early child care and education, as well as a long-term plan for achieving the vision. Now, I do have a little update based on what Bill told you just a while ago. So today, we will be offering to the Senate Finance Committee some amendments to House Bill 105. Typically, we would be saying House Bill 1, but it's House Bill 105 is the General Appropriations Bill this year. And the sum of it is this. The state effort for early childhood education reflected in House Bill 105 today and in the amendments that we're going to propose increases the state effort in general fund by a total of $18 million over last year. Now that's more money than you knew about coming in here because we were able to make some decisions last night around the budget. And I want to be clear, that includes $4.8 million that will be reallocated that is within the Department of Education currently, and it's not being spent on early childhood. It will be spent on early childhood. But there are $2.5 million in the budget right now for additional seats, birth to 3, in the CCAP program. We're going to increase that by another $4.3 million, so that's $6.8 million. So we will get over 1,300 seats filled next year. But that isn't the nature of a proposal, so we need you to work with the legislators downstairs, especially those on Senate Finance and otherwise, to make sure that they receive those amendments favorably. And so we're looking at that. We're also trying to figure out what we can do to identify and carve out streams of revenue going forward that can be dedicated to early childhood. And there's several instruments, and you're going to hear from the authors of some of those later today, I think, at this meeting about some of that. But getting the funding up to the level where we want it to be, where we need it to be, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. But one thing that I am supremely confident in, we wouldn't be here today talking about increasing our investment in early childhood education had we not fixed our budget problems, had we not achieved some level of stability. And contrast that to where we were just 3 years ago or 2 years ago or a year ago, when we were looking at $2 billion deficits, $1.2 billion cliffs, that sort of thing. We're just in a much better place today. And I guess you always want to strike while the iron is hot. The iron is hot. And over the next few years, we're going to have an opportunity to make a big investment in a lot of necessary areas, but early childhood being one of them. And why am I so confident? Because we have the lowest unemployment in the history of our state right now. The GDP is the biggest it has ever been right now. Personal income is at the highest levels it has ever been right now. We continue to get economic development projects to the state of Louisiana, the biggest and the best in our history. I'm excited about where we are, but I'm even more excited about the future. But that future is going to give us the ability to greatly increase these investments. So I'm excited about what we're doing and what we're going to do, and I'm going to ask you all to make sure that you remain focused on this after today, and let's work together and get it done because we can. And not just because we can, but because we must. So thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you to everyone for being here today, especially the governor and his wonderful first lady, and all of our legislators and all of our elected officials who I get to bug each and every day. It's nice to be able to feed you and enjoy something together. Thank you for all your support. I'm actually here today to introduce a little video that we're going to watch together that is really a trailer for a much longer, wonderful movie that I hope will be screening around the state after session and we can all think straight again. But even the trailer is so powerful, so I wanted to share it with you. It's called No Small Matter, and because it's a trailer, it doesn't identify who's speaking, but know the people speaking on each of these topics that's being addressed are like the foremost experts in the field. So it's a very powerful video, and we can watch it. It's just 3 minutes, I think.
Babies in the beginnings of humanity grew up in these very rich extended families. So in that kind of context, caring for children, teaching them, just getting the work done that you need, they all take place at the same time. And of course, the world that we live in now is a very, very different world from that.
We have a society in which moms and dads both have to work to even support a family at all. The central problem is that the ability to provide that nurturing attention early in life is less than ever before.
Good job.
Minimum wage just isn't paying bills.
We couldn't afford to put him in preschool. Donnie's with him all day and I'm with him all night.
This notion of the American dream, that is fundamentally not happening.
because of the fact that, it took us that much to get her here, that putting her life in someone else's hands means so much.
1 year old. He can't say anything. He doesn't sit up. He doesn't walk.
When those markers are set in childhood, they impact the way our bodies work for the rest of our lives.
These are our children, our families in this country. Ignoring this and just going on as if it's going to correct itself, that's a disaster for us as a society.
This is not the way it's supposed to be.
We have a deeper understanding now of how important these early years are and why.
We're unlocking the secrets of the brain. First time in history. We never had a way to look into a baby's brain before.
What's going on up there is rocket science.
Babies' early experiences create the foundation for all that follows.
Yes! I want to be their Miss Honey. I want to be the one that's like, you can do anything!
They are doing the work that will really fundamentally make a difference for the outcomes of these young children.
We need leaders in every community to step up and say, every child should have access to high-quality early education.
If we get this right, our country will look dramatically different.
Whatever we want to call it, childcare, preschool, home, we have to do it everywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be here, and I want to thank you all for inviting me. It is a pleasure to work for a boss that, as he often says, if we have family values, we value families. And he and the First Lady lived that each and every single day. In Children's Cabinet, we all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and the First Lady has championed, along with the governor, making sure that we provide that hot breakfast to folks and that we take care of our children. It is being a part of a cabinet where parents are welcome and where their children are welcome, and we appreciate families, and we see that today in our workforce director from the LCTCS with his beautiful daughter Ruby, one of our youngest here. She's passed those 2,000 days, but it demonstrates the importance of families and having our families around. At the Workforce Commission, we look at what occupations we have. It's one of the things we do, and we determine where we're growing and where there's need and what the average salaries of those jobs are. And unfortunately, child care providers don't make what we call our 4- and 5-star jobs. And why is that? It's not because there's not the need. The salary doesn't go with it. And how sad is that? Because if you've been that mom, like so many of us have been, and even the dad, that first time you drop that little one off at the daycare, and you go back into the car and you cry because you just have left the most precious gift from God that you could ever receive in someone else's care, and they're probably earning $7.25. How sad is that? And we have to do more about that. This certainly, in increasing the number of slots we have for quality child care, helps, but we want to do more, and we can do more, and that's going to take time. And certainly through Governor Edwards' leadership and continued leadership, that will occur. We at the Workforce Commission are focused on a few things that we hope will help bridge the gap. The first thing is for you child care providers that are in the audience, I would encourage you, strongly encourage you, to take advantage of SBET, Small Business Enterprise Training, so you can upgrade the skills of your workers, create new workers, and create a pipeline for bringing new people into the profession, but allowing those into the profession to earn additional wages through additional credentialing. So that's so important, because as you upgrade the skills, and you can get $3,000 from the Workforce Commission from this. So what I'm committing to do is there is a normal process by which this goes, and we do it pretty quickly, 30 days. We reimburse reimburse you within 30 days once it's approved. We're going to funnel those in the next 6 months through our office to make sure that we have an expedited process, because I know child care providers, you are small businesses, and you need that extra attention, and we do value children, so we want to do what we can. I would also encourage the employers and child care providers in the room to take advantage of the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. That allows you to get up to $9,600 back on your federal income taxes for hiring someone that is low income on public assistance, and put that money back into child care. Put that money back into reinvesting in our children, that first 2,000 days and beyond. We all know that there's so much work to do, but I firmly believe in taking small bites of the apple that we're able to eventually consume the apple. So we have lots of work to do, but we're well on our way. We want to encourage employers as well. We talk about the skills gap in workforce for employers. Government alone cannot solve this. This is for employers to partner with government. So we're interested in partnering with you. How can we solve that skills gap? How can we eliminate it? We eliminate it long term by investing in that first 2,000 days, and we eliminate it with improving the lives of those that are already working by providing them with quality child care opportunities and a workforce that allows them to take care of their children and be supportive of those children. We at the Workforce Commission completely applaud these ideas, and we want to look for creative and innovative ways to support all of our businesses, large and small, in doing this. So we look forward to those opportunities and to continue to be a part of this discussion and a part of this victory. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I do want to make sure that I thank the governor for your long track record of supporting early childhood education. Long before the days you were governor, I know this has always been a passion, so thank you. And to the First Lady for a lifetime commitment to education, and we appreciate your efforts. You have heard the science. The governor was spot on in the critical need for ensuring that we are providing opportunities to children in those key developmental years. And if we are ever going to ensure that we are preparing the workforce of tomorrow, it doesn't begin when they graduate high school. It doesn't begin when they're in high school going through a Jump Start program. It begins in those early childhood years and those formative years, and we know it's critical. And it is important that we look towards that workforce of tomorrow. But I don't want us to only look at early childhood education as an issue about the workforce of tomorrow, because I will tell you that it is an issue about the workforce today. 4.7 million people living in Louisiana. 2.3 million of those people are working age adults between 19 and 65. Of that 2.3 million people that are working age adults in our state, 1.2 million of them have a high school diploma or less. When the projections on the jobs and the data, that with great data we get from Secretary DEJOIE at the Workforce Commission, the jobs that are available, the vast majority of those require more than the high school diploma. Of the 1.2 million adults in Louisiana with a high school diploma or less, 400,000 of them don't have the high school diploma. Those are individuals that we need to utilize if we are ever going to transform the economy of Louisiana. But what do we know about that population? Those are the ones we see at the Louisiana Community and Technical College system. And there are barriers to them getting that skill they need to go to work, to earn that good paycheck. And what are the barriers they have? Childcare. One of the largest barriers that we see whenever we do exit interviews with our students who are unable to persist, unable to finish, what they tell us is, I had to drop out because I didn't have access to childcare. And let me tell you how much that affects not only that family, but the economy of the state. The median income nationally for an individual without a high school diploma is $20,500. Do you know what the average starting salary of someone who completed their course of study in the Community and Technical College system was last year? $48,500. If we solve this issue of ensuring that every family in this state has access to high-quality early childhood education, it is a difference of $28,500 in that individual's pocket that changes that family's life and changes the economy of Louisiana for years and decades to come. I am excited that this is an event of such importance that we have this collection of individuals in the room today, led by our governor, who understands how important it is. If we ever will change the economy and the future of Louisiana and prepare the workforce of tomorrow, we begin by preparing the workforce for today, by removing barriers to education, and it starts with early childhood education. So we look forward to partnering with you, Governor, and we thank you for your leadership on this issue, and I encourage all of you to be a voice demanding that we provide this for every family in Louisiana. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's really my pleasure to be here today speaking on behalf of Entergy Louisiana. But more importantly, I'm really excited to be in a group of people that are equally passionate about early child care and education, really something critically important to our state and our community. As many of you know, Entergy is deeply engaged in improving the child and improving the communities that we serve. One big way that we do that is focusing on education, workforce development, economic development, and STEM. In fact, our focus on education really follows the entire path of a student from earliest on all the way through to college. But what we know is that success is critically dependent upon early childhood education. You know, our involvement with early childhood education began when our former chairman, J. Wayne Leonard, commissioned a study to determine what the impact of early childhood education was. That study revealed that for every dollar that we invest in early childhood education, society gets $9 back. Really a great return on investment, right? So that study served as a springboard for us and Entergy's investments and support for collaborative efforts that have yielded more than $400 million in state, local, and federal funding together with our partners. That has resulted in more than 100,000 children having access to early childhood education in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi, those who most needed low-income families across that area. You know, we also have partnered with Louisiana Policy Institute for Children, Stand for Children, Early Childhood Education, United Way of Southeast Louisiana, Committee of 100, so many others across this past 2 decades to support research and advocacy on initiatives that have focused attention on the need for and the importance of early childhood education. We're proud to be a member of Louisiana's Coalition for Pre-K for All. Because of that partnership, today, 90% of at-risk 4-year-olds in Louisiana now have access to early childhood education. Well, that's great news, but we still have much work to do. Now, when it comes to children from birth to age 3, we have a significant gap. Fewer than 15% of those children are being served. And as the governor mentioned, that early foundation of brain development really serves for what happens next for the rest of their life. That critical first 3 years or that first 5 years is really what matters. Every year, we have gaps in access to child care that result in about a $1.1 billion loss to businesses in Louisiana. And we can reference many studies that talk about the cost of those gaps and the economic impacts of those gaps, but we cannot overlook the impact to our most vulnerable citizens. A bright economic future for Louisiana depends on our ability to create a solid foundation for our youngest citizens. You know, as business leaders, we must continue to look for ways to work with our community partners, with our elected representatives, and to help prioritize funding and support for early child care and education for Louisiana. Our future depends on it. Thank you.
I'm so thrilled to be here and so honored to be here, and I appreciate so much the Jefferson Chamber for the leadership they've taken and for all of you on this issue. Let me just talk a little bit about my belief system about this issue and about why we are where we are today and where we need to go. And I know so many of you have been going down this long road, working on this issue and showing your leadership in your community, so thank you. First, it feels to me like we should recognize that our world has evolved and that we have thousands and thousands of children being raised in Louisiana. thousands and thousands of families, moms and dads, working moms and dads, who are trying to do right by those children. And they both together need a singular thing, which is some time in the love and professional care of a high-quality early childhood center, so that mom and dad can go to work, so that the child can be nourished, can be cared for, can be protected, and can be educated. I will tell you, every day I drop my little infant daughter off at an early childhood center in Louisiana. I do it driving away with the incredible comfort to know that the person who means more to me than anyone else in the world is going to be in good hands until I or my wife come back and see her again. And the comfort that that gives me, a person of such great privilege, to be able to do my work well, to the best of my abilities, to know that she is growing, is a comfort that I believe we should want every one of our fellow Louisianans to have when they're raising their kids. But today, literally on my desk, a couple hundred yards from here, there is a waiting list of nearly 5,000 children's names. 5,000 children's names. Who knows where they are? I don't, and you don't either. They may be at home. They may be at a friend's house. They may be at a family member's house. They may be in a child care setting that is not everything we would want for our children. Maybe one that's not even registered. Maybe one that's not even legal. Who knows where they are? And those are just the 5,000 who cared to put their names on a waiting list. It doesn't remotely speak to what are, I believe, the tens of thousands who, in a circumstance where they knew the service would be available, would have signed up. Because you see, every time we increase the number of seats, every time we increase the size of the stipend, that waiting list just stays there. It doesn't go away. It's like a revolving door that never stops revolving, because families know that in today's age, in today's economy, with the demands placed on the families, they need a high-quality early childhood environment for their child. If we want to change our state, from the grassroots up, from the workplace up, we need a system of high-quality care and education, which makes the fact that there are nearly 5,000 families on a waiting list a morally abhorrent situation that must change now. I respect and appreciate greatly what the governor did by taking an important step forward in supporting the House of Representatives' step to at least not allow us to lose funding in the early childhood setting. We were going to lose a set of federal grants. Those would have been lost, and we've taken an important step forward to add 400 seats so that they can benefit from places like Kingsley House, also in my neighborhood, Keith, and other centers across our state. But that is, sadly, not even a tip of the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg. And so as we nurse our state back to financial health, I hope we will put front and center what could be the most foundational, essential investment, which is to begin to rebuild a 21st century system of early childhood care and education, a 21st century education system which starts early and continues through on one's life. Let me, before I close, put to bed one rumor that I have heard circulating in the Capitol. Not that the rumors really ever circulated in the Capitol, but if they did. And that is that the early childhood care and education system doesn't have the capacity to do more if they were given more. Let me just say, I've heard this too many times this session. It is wrong. It is factually inaccurate. If we as taxpayers, if this legislature sees fit to appropriate the requisite funds to our early childhood system, I know for a fact that there is capacity. And if you need evidence of that, recognize that 10 years ago the same system, was serving 40,000 families in child care. I don't talk to superintendents in school systems every day who say, I don't want more LA4. I don't talk to child cares every day who say, I don't want to grow or do more in my community. So please, if anyone says, let's do this another year, let's wait until the system actually has the capacity to do it, please tell them that is factually inaccurate. Our centers, our pre-Ks, and our Head Starts are ready now. Our families are ready now. And it is time for the Senate and ultimately the whole legislature to act on this timeline. And that timeline is now. I thank Representative Thomas, who's here in front of me today. I thank Entergy and the leadership, Philip, that you have shown. I thank the Jefferson Chamber, and I thank, most importantly, all of the parents, providers, and advocates who are here in the room today. We are a growing, powerful coalition of all racial and ethnic backgrounds, wealthy and poor, private sector and public sector, urban and rural, all Louisiana, all for Louisiana's future, knowing that this is the most essential thing we could do to ensure it is a bright one. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
I appreciate what the governor said about the importance of early care and education. I'm a physician, so he's right. It's 80% plus brain development in the first 3 years. I learned that in medical school, but I didn't really learn it until the last 4 years when I became a grandparent and now have a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-year-old grandchild. I know that to be true now. I was asked today by Representative Cox, who I was talking to, giving the spiel about early childhood education, and he basically stopped me in the middle of my spiel and said, okay, everybody here believes early care and education is important, so tell me what we need to do. I said, well, you know, we've done a lot. Have a tremendous LA4 program that began 2 decades ago and has done nothing but get better and better and better. We've got Act 3, which we did 7 or 8 years ago, which essentially organized early care and education. We just had a commission that actually did a comprehensive look at early care and education. So we've done a lot. So what do we need to do? It's right above me. What is it? Invest in early care and education. The bottom line is that we need to put our money where our mouth is. I will tell you, in what I believe is the next 14 months are critical as to what's going to happen with early care and education in this state. This session right now, what the governor talked about right now, that's going to Senate Finance Committee right now, okay, is important. What's going to happen in the elections is important. What's going to happen the next legislative session, even more important, because that's going to be the trajectory of where we're going to go. That's going to be the path. They're going to set the path. We don't need to quit. We need to rev up the game, okay? And so what I'm going to say to you today is I have a short-term suggestion for everybody in this room. The short-term suggestion is look in your book, find out who's on Senate Finance Committee, look and see who's you know or from someplace near where you live, and talk to them. Either send them a letter, send them an email, or go just talk to them while you're up here today. Find them and talk to them about the importance of early care and education. And then be involved in the elections, be involved this next legislative session, and I think we can move what we all want to do. Invest in early child education. Thank you for coming. I'm so appreciative of all of you that work in early care and education and what you do for our state. Thank you very much.
We're just here advocating for one of the most important issues that's facing our state, which is funding for early childhood development.
Tell us, why is the business community involved in this issue?
Well, we're involved in this issue just like we are in all education issues. We are the customers of education, and so we believe that this investment in early childhood that will give every kid a chance to go to a quality daycare that's actually teaching is just paramount to creating great citizens and great students and a great workforce.
The research is incredible. It shows that for every dollar invested in early care and education, there can be up to a $13 return on that investment, 13% return on that investment.
It's about the future of our state. Early childhood education, quite literally, is the future of our state.
It means if you want to grow your economy, you have to give working families an opportunity to go to work and be comfortable that their children are being taken care of. But if you want to grow the next generation of employees and citizens and family members, you have to provide for their growth and their care as young children. So it's a double benefit. It's essential on both ends to the future.
What have other states done in this area, and what kind of results have they seen?
Well, other states have not actually taken some of the steps we've taken to provide the high-quality early childhood care and education. What they have done is invested in it. And there are places around the country, red states and blue states, rural parts of our country and urban parts of our country, that have stepped up to provide a system that, if families want it, is available to them. We here have a system where if families want it, it may be available to them, and that's unacceptable.
What kind of results have you seen with children that have had early childhood education when they get into the public school system?
Well, there's a lot of evidence, years of research to show that young people who experience a quality early childhood care and education experience end up later in life with much better outcomes economically, with much less likelihood that they're committing criminal transgressions, much greater likelihood that they've got a good, stable income and they're taking care of their own families. It has lasting effects, and we have to look at that research and know that it's not everything. Early childhood care and education can't replace, for example, going to a great elementary school, but it's one part of a chain that has been demonstrated to add real value to the lives of those young people.
You mentioned the existing capacity and the potential capacity for additional early childhood slots in the state.
Well, I think centers around our state are going to step up. If the state asks them to step up, the child care centers, the Head Starts, and the pre-Ks, they're going to step up. There's room in those places. They want to serve kids. That's why they got into this line of work. So it's wrong when people say, well, we could put more money in, but there wouldn't be capacity. That's just flat wrong.
What do you feel the legislature needs to do?
Well, I think we need to make this a priority. I mean, we're 51st in the country in early childhood development funding. We need to make this a priority. We need to stop talking about it, and we need to just invest in early childhood development.
Investment in early childhood is a two-generation solution to so many of the challenges we face as a state and a country, both in terms of our children having better educational success and success in school and in life, and for parents to be able to get to work and be productive workers and be able to try to eradicate poverty that we have so much of in our state.
How can people get more information about this issue?
They can go to our website at www.policyinstitutela.org.